So, welcome all of you on this new episode of the AfriTech Connect, where discussions unfold, usually spanning our four core themes, which are wellness, spatial technology, project management, and inclusive leadership. So, today's theme is under the wellness banner of our fellowship on this episode of the AfriTech Connect. And the title of this episode is Beyond Expression, Art as a Catalyst for Wellbeing. And I'm very pleased to have a wonderful panel of people with me, wonderful panel of women in this month where we are celebrating women all around the world. I'm very pleased to have women from actually different part of the world. So without further ado, I think I will introduce our wonderful panelist, and then we will start the conversation. So with us tonight, we have Kelly Ang Ting Hon, who is from Mauritius, like me. So I'm very happy to have her with us tonight. Um, there's a moment just before she steps onto the stage where the world holds its breath, a pose, a heartbeat. Then words spill like a rushing tide, carving space, shaping air, building worlds. For Kelly, art is not just an expression, it's existence. It began with poetry, syllables striking like drum beats, until she became the national slam champion of Mauritius and took her voice to the Slam World Cup. But her art never stayed still. It danced into the theater, it hummed into music, it stretched in fingers towards storytelling. Because a story is more than words, it is a movement, it is a rhythm, it is the pulse of a heart speaking truth that cannot be silenced. Beyond the stage, she stands in classrooms asking, what if we taught through performance? What if learning was alive, breathing, breaking barriers? With every step, she crafts a world where creativity and knowledge walk hand in hand, and always the story continues. Thank you so much, Kelly, for being with us today.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for inviting me. I feel so happy to be among you for this Friday evening. It's very hot in Mauritius, but I'm sure we're here for nurturing really good ideas.
Thank you, Kelly. So with us also tonight, we have Lillian Munuo, and Lily sees art in the way light catches on a string, the way a nail presses into wood, the way a brushstroke carries emotion beyond words. She creates not just for beauty, but for meaning. Because for too long, society has placed labels on the people, and she is here to peel them away. Beyond the Label initiative was born from this fire to reshape perceptions of disability, to use art as both weapon and embrace. Her work is layered, textured, tactile, just like the stories she tells. Her leadership took her to festival stages, to the Global South Art and Health Week, to the UN Youth Fellowship, and to the Mandela Washington Fellowship. She stands where art and advocacy meet, a young woman who refused to be defined by limits. Instead, she paints past them. Thank you so much, Lily, for being with us today.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here with you guys today.
And last but certainly not least, we have Simone Spencer. Simone, I'm not sure if you can hear us.
I can hear you. I thank you.
Thank you.
I
So,
will come in a minute.
okay. So there was a time Simone thought she would build cities, blueprints, structures, solid things. But art has a way of calling you home. After years abroad, she returned to Cabo Verde with an artist's hands and a builder's mind. She painted, she created, she told stories on walls. In 2021, she held her first solo exhibition. The world saw her. She saw herself. And she became part of movements. Wow, Asiko, pushing the barriers of what African and Afro-descendant artists could be. She co-founded an audiovisual company. She built The Artist's Way, an online space where ideas could breathe. And then murals stretched across the sky. Tawi Fest brought global artists together. Museums opened their doors. She carried Cabo Verde to Paris, San Francisco, and even to India. She is not just painting, she is building. Not cities of stone, but cities of color, of movement, and of vision. Thank you so much, Simone, for accepting to be with us today.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for such a beautiful introduction.
You're welcome. So thank you to all of you for being with us and accepting to be around this conversation. And to start this conversation, I will open the question to all of the panelists today, which is something that actually we really have at heart at the AfriTech Fellowship, because at first we started with STEM, so science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, but we quickly shift to the STEAM field, which is actually inclusive of arts. So I would like to know from our panelists, because why is art often excluded from the STEAM conversation, and how maybe can we advocate for its inclusion as a crucial element in both innovation and well-being? I will start with you, Kelly. You're muted.
Yes, sorry. So I believe that the world has been conditioned in such a way that art has always been seen by most people as an extra, a decoration rather than a foundation. And unfortunately, if we look at history, every great innovation, every breathtaking invention has been carried by an artistic vision, actually. If you look at the curve of an iPhone, this is a kind of poetry. If you look at the storytelling in ads, this is storytelling, this is art actually. And you mentioned the shaping cities and building cities. Architecture is art. This is visual art. So art is everywhere and art is everything. And without art, I would say that science lacks imagination, because without imagination, there is no progress. So we must push for STEAM, where creativity fuels engineering and music shapes maths. So we have to showcase success stories. As artists are shaping AI, musicians are doing a revolution with music therapy, for example. And most importantly, I believe that art should be brought into schools as children born after the years of 2000s. They are being taught in an educational system that is obsolete now. So we should create space for creativity, because without creativity, the world wouldn't be where it is now. Yes, that's it.
Thank you so much, Kelly. And I couldn't agree more with you. It's true that there is a lot of aspect of life that is directly connected to art, but we just do not realize it. I'm very happy to have this discussion. Just quick thing, Simone.
Yes.
We can see you. Your video is good. Can you hear us?
Yes,
Yeah.
I can hear you perfectly. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes, we can hear you. Yeah, thank you. So yeah, maybe I will pass on to you, Simone. What do you think could be the ways we could advocate for inclusion of art within the STEAM field, but also as a crucial element in both innovation and well-being?
Thank you. That's such an excellent question. And thank you, Kelly, for your points. I think they were spot on. I think we have to be loud about the contributions of art. We can see that through time, art has been the fuel by which we now know about science. For example, in botany, during the 1800s, everything related to science was registered through art, because during that time, every one of the educated masses, let's say, had to learn art. So because there was no photography, they had to register everything. So art is the tool by which they used to catalog, and that cannot be lost. Art has done a huge contribution. I'm now talking about visual arts, and any new invention is only functional if it's aesthetically pleasing to the masses. And for it to be aesthetically pleasing, it has to have a component of art.
Yeah.
Be it audio, visual. So there is no innovation without art. We have to be loud about it. So that's what I think. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Simone. And I agree with your point where you say that every component has to be like at least visual, because whether we want to accept it or not, we do live in a society and in a world that actually want to see what's pleasing. So I do agree with you that everything has kind of an aspect to art. Lily, what would you say? You're muted.
From my point of view, you'd find that traditional education and many innovation models, they are prioritizing technicalities over creative expressions. And you find that art loses its value. I had a conversation with a person and I was telling them I am a full-time artist, and they told me they continued asking me, what am I doing? And they said art for them is just a hobby. So some ways and we can advocate for art in such spaces, or especially in education models when it comes to STEM, is as Simone said, we need to be very vocal, and we also need to highlight success stories where art we see the role of art in science, scientific and technology advancement. And another thing I'd also is encouragement of cross-disciplinary projects where we see scientists, engineers, designers, and artists all come together to create innovative solutions. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Lily. And I don't know who said that to you, but I mean, clearly they didn't say what you do, because this is more than just a hobby. You do amazing. I mean, everybody on this panel, you do amazing thing, and it's not just a hobby. I wish I had a hobby that was that great in my life too. Um, I will pass on to another question that actually links to how art can also be very powerful. So I will maybe Simone, if you can you share a project where your art has actively maybe contributed to social change? How do you see art as a tool for shifting maybe perspective and dismantling societal barriers, particularly in challenging gender norms or addressing decolonization?
Thank you. Great question. So I am the co-founder of the Artist Way Talks. That's a platform that weekly we have interviews with different artists from different fields in Cabo Verde. We started that, actually, me and my husband, to record everything that artists were doing in our wedding, because we wanted to have 100% local sourced wedding. But then he grew because we saw that there was actually a need for community connection between the artists here in Cabo Verde. Each artist that is in their field only knows people from their field, like musicians only know musicians, visual artists only know visual artists. So at the moment we have 80 plus interviews. Now we are doing in a record mode. Then we funded the Artist Way Fest. That is a urban arts festival where we go in our local schools, and we invite visual artists from various fields to paint the murals of the school. I am very proud that in all that we've done, we were able to have equal number of male and female artists. That's, for me, it's a huge victory, and that is what we want to do. We want to be equal, give equal opportunities, if need be, train, because there are way more male urban artists than females. So yeah, that's what we're trying to do in terms of um, speaking with the public. And it was very, very rewarding to see how we changed the whole atmosphere of the school, the whole atmosphere of the neighborhood. People were coming and saying how proud that they are of their school. And children from other schools were coming to me and saying, when are you going to paint? So it sees that can see that it brings pride to a place that before was, I don't want to see decaying, but in that people were avoiding that neighborhood, but now they come to see art. And as for me, in my personal practice, I care a lot about decolonization and feminism. I see that as something that affects a lot where I'm from. We are a Creole nation, and Creole nations are weird in the way that how we deal with being white and Black. And I think there's a lot to be talked about. So I do talk about it in my art, and I can see that it's opening conversation. And I feel like art is a safe space to talk about it openly, be it decolonization, be it gender. And talking about gender, art is a medium that we can share and expose what we are dealing with. So yes, I believe I'm doing something or trying to. Yeah. I don't know if I answered your question. Yes.
You did. Thank you, Simone. And I think there's two things that stuck with me in what you said is that how it is important for us to leverage art to be able to express ourselves, like every voices need to be heard. And you're giving that opportunity, you're using that and you're leveraging that when you are painting or doing arts. And the second thing, I like that you talked about communities and how communities are actually coming together to see art, to be part of this art. And I think it's very powerful because it tells a story, definitely. When I was in DC, I walked around the city, and I saw that there was so many murals. And it's so interesting because one thing that we do not realize is even if the artist is painting that mural in a way and expressing themselves in that way, somebody else can come and see something completely different in it and make it its own story. And I like that. I really like that you are talking about how it can express so much. And I think it's interesting how you said that even in art, there is this part where visual artists are on the side, musical artists are on the side, like kind of, it's important to kind of bring them together. And I would actually like to have, based on this community aspect, have a point of view of you, maybe Lily. So how has being part of an artistic community influenced your personal journey? And how do you foster spaces for others to heal and express themselves through art?
I haven't had a very big chance to be part of an artistic community, but I've connected with people who have played a significant role in shaping my artistic journey. And through this journey, I was in a space where we were 20 youth fellows who were discussing different challenges that youth face. And I was in a group with people where I was communicating with them some of the challenges I, as a person with disability, I face. And through that conversation, I found out that people, most or general public, have a significant idea of what disability is from hearing from different people. And that is where Beyond the Label came. I founded Beyond the Label. So I went back and thought, what am I good at? I'm not good at God. And I wanted to create a space where a person with disability can share their own story the way they want it to be and how they see it to the public, and for the public to actually see the lived realities rather than just hearing this is what people with disability face. So that is how I create space where people can come together, especially those with disability, to express themselves and redefine what disability is. And through that space, I'm also encouraging self-exploration. Through one workshop I did last year, a lady came and her perspective of the space and how what art is changed at the end, because at the first when we were starting doing it, her mood was like, I don't want to be here. But creating a self space where we encourage her to explore her dreams, her life, and try and put it into an art, you'd see that her whole emotion and even postures changed at the end. She wanted more of that space. So that is how I create, especially with people with disability, spaces where they can create and just express themselves.
Thank you, Lily.
Yeah.
I think it's very powerful that you took that leap of faith. And I'm very happy that you say, you asked yourself, what am I good at? And you realize that you're good at art because you're amazing at art. And I think it's very powerful that you took that leap of faith, but you also brought other people with you, and that you're now rebuilding your own narrative that no one can overwrite on, because it's yours and it belongs to you, and it's you who choose how you want your story to be told. And I think it's very powerful, and I'm very happy that we get to hear this today and we get to share it, because I think more people should take that leap of faith. More people should be aware that they can do things too. And I'm happy to hear that. And I think it does bring a lot of emotions as well when we think about it. I know that when we started the conversation, we were talking about how art can actually bring a lot of emotions. And I would like to know, maybe from Kelly, can you share a moment where maybe the performing arts in your for you has helped you or others process emotions, heal, or maybe spark a transformation?
Thank you for the question, Anne-Gaëlle. This one is difficult because there are so many moments that I want to share with you. I will start by a very important moment for me. So I joined teaching in secondary schools in 2021. So it was just after COVID, and we were all still very terrified. And I had a class with extended students. So extended students are students who failed the grade 9, grade 6 exams. So they do grade 7, 8, and 9 extended classes. And they are known as troublemakers. And I was so afraid. But when I got to know them, the first week I cried because I couldn't handle them. But then I used another approach with slam poetry. We tried some drama, music also. And I don't know, there's something that changed. And, last month I met one of these girls. This was a girls' school. And, she thanked me because even if she didn't complete her studies, she seemed to be more responsible. She wasn't that 15 years old girl at school, always talking, always making fun of people without knowing them. She had become a woman. and I felt so happy to have contributed to something so big. And for me, I would say that actually my life is a big mess. I'm doing my master's in educational leadership and management, and I'm also dealing with a full-time work, and I have other professional and personal commitments, and stress is really piling up. And this is very difficult, but performing arts seem to be my sanctuary. I started contemporary dance this year with Jorina Anama, who is someone amazing from Mauritius. And I can say that I have found and released emotions that I didn't even realize I was holding on to. So there's that creation for space to process, to reflect and express feelings that words or actions alone cannot capture. And even when I'm physically exhausted, I feel that the creative process, even through slam poetry, music, or even storytelling, this is transforming me into someone much stronger and not fearing anything. There's a quote I like which says, per aspera ad astra, which means through hardships to the stars. And I think this is what art is made for. And no matter how how hard life gets actually, but through arts, I think we can find a way to rise. So I think maybe I didn't answer your questions completely, but I tried to
I
be
mean,
as
you did.
sincere and honest
You did,
as I
and
could.
I feel very honored that you felt like you could be vulnerable with us and share this stories from your student, but also from you, because I know it's not easy in today's world to just be ourselves and believing that being strong just not happen overnight, but we do need to go through this healing journey. And I think in one way or the other, art is actually a big part of healing for a lot of us. It just takes a different form. And I'm happy that you got to do this and that you're embracing this. I'm very honored to know each one of you on this panel as well. And I can tell you that each one of you are strong women that I'm very happy to have within my community. Even if Kelly is in Mauritius, so I get to see her more often. But even Lily and Simone, even if you're not in Mauritius, you're in my heart. And I'm very happy to have this conversation, and I'm happy that with what you're sharing, because you are showing me, but also people who are watching this or people who will watch later on YouTube, that you are not afraid to be who you are. And I think that's a very, very powerful message to send in the world. And I think, Kelly, I'm a big fan of quotes, and I love that quote that you just shared. So I'm definitely going to reuse it. So thank you so much for this. And I think often with art or even anything like Lily said, when we feel we're good at something, we feel like a certain type of pressure when people are telling us we need to do that or we need to go towards showing up for that cause. And so that brings me to the next question to you, Simone. Maybe do you feel maybe a sense of responsibility to use art for activism? And how do you balance personal expressions with the wider impact you aim to achieve?
First, thank you, Kelly, for sharing. It's so heartwarming what you just said. Sorry, English is not my first language. But thank you for this question. I feel like it's my responsibility to leave the world than what I found, and I feel like there is no separation between my personal expression and what I want to say in my activism, because I am a being in this world, so I am affected by the things around me. So of course, in my art, I will talk about the things that affect me. It's personal for me to talk about what is affecting me. So there is really no separation. For example, right now I am preparing for my next exhibition. Like everything is research-based, so I'm doing research, and the theme that I have in mind is family ties. So I'm going back and thinking about my childhood and uh, things that happened in my family. And it's very personal, but at the same time, I am 100% sure that my experience is not just my own. Let me just tell you one example, one thing that I'm thinking for a specific painting. My grandma and grand aunt lived very close to one another, but for decades they didn't talk to each other. Nobody knows why. It's just petty things. And then the last time that they saw each other, my grandma had late stage Alzheimer's and my grand aunt was deaf. So my grand aunt was just looking at her sister crying, but my grandmother had no recollection of who she was talking to. So they spent decades wasting time not talking to one another for petty things. What can we see? Lack of communication in the family is something that happened in my family, something that I saw, that I experienced. And I'm 100% sure this is not a singular accident. Or I have another painting called Femicide, because, well, the idea for that painting, it just came naturally because I was being catcalled and stalked at one point in my life. I felt like there was a target in my head because I was just walking around like in my head. I came from the art store and I was thinking what I need to buy for my next painting. And the guy was just catcalling me. I wasn't aware that he was talking to me. But then he suddenly said, I will see you tomorrow at the beach because I go to the beach every day in the morning. And I was talking to me and he knows where I go. So, and then this painting came to my head. Just came naturally. I just started painting. It wasn't because of that, but when I finished painting, I was like, huh, I think that's what I'm talking about in this painting. So you see, there is no separation because life is hard. So we make art out of it. We talk about it in the safe space that is art. And I, before my first exhibition, I thought that my world was my own. But after sharing, I could see that no, actually, everybody's going through almost the same thing. It's just that through art, I'm giving them a platform to talk more clearly about it, to have a dialogue. So yeah, that's it. It's a responsibility, and it's something that I cannot separate. So.
Thank you, Simone, for sharing this. And this is crazy. That story about your aunt and your grandma. I mean, there's a quote that says, life is what happened while you're busy making plans. And basically, life happened and they didn't see it coming. And that's crazy. But yeah, that's something that we do not see coming. And it's important that we act when we can still do. And I like that I mean, that's a very heartfelt but also very serious topic that you raised with the feminist art painting that you did, because I'm pretty sure, like you say, a lot of people are going through that, maybe sometimes without even realizing it, and more often than not, we throw we think that it's our fault. We looked for it in a way, like with like people often say it, but I like that instead of letting it take your power away, you choose to channel it, to throughout your art and talk about it and show the world that this is a thing, this is happening, but this is not changing who I am. This is not taking my power away from me. And this is making me paint more, actually. So thank you so much for sharing this, Simone. And I like that one thing that you said is like, when you have something in mind, when you're painting it, is like you don't even know how it's going to look like at the end, but you're going through that process to channel it. And actually, this is making me smile because we had a conversation with Lily not so long ago, and she actually told me the exact same thing. So I think it's an artist thing where it actually really is a tool that you guys leverage to be able to express yourself. And I'm very happy that this works. I wouldn't call myself an artist, but I do believe in art and how much of a power it has in being a tool that we can leverage to actually express ourselves and make ourselves feel better, to understand our emotions. And that I will continue with Lily. And I know you said earlier that you didn't start with an artistic community necessarily around you, and that you did meet people along the way, and that you understand how community is actually important for impact and what we want to do. So maybe in what ways do you see art as a tool for fostering inclusivity and keep on building that community?
So I would like to share, literally go back to last year when I did Beyond the Label. I'll talk about the exhibition part. After we did the workshops with people, we exhibited these artworks. I curated the stories. We created catalogs that we shared with people. So most people, anyone who walked into the Beyond the Label exhibition, one thing they also is the ability. They also abilities beside, they didn't see the disabilities. Anyone who went through these stories, you would see how their perspective and ideology about what disability is. People who left that space and went back to their daily lives, if they encountered, one person said, if I am to encounter a person with disability, my whole narrative about them has changed based on this exhibition and how these people they were able to fully express themselves and change their narratives about what disability is. So in that way, you see how art can create inclusivity. And another person, went through an artwork and realized and never knew this is a challenge that a person with disability face. So when they left there, they now understand, and the encounter again with a person with disability would be different. And also the catalogs that we printed, they all have stories we worked with almost 40 people with disability, each with different story to tell. When you read through that, you clearly see, especially we shared those with some stakeholders, organization, some clearly see that there are some gaps that we can fill in, especially with SHR, something about sexual reproductive health. So you see how art can be able to redefine that narrative to also show where needs this and where needs that and all of that stuff. So for me, that is how, from an example, is how I see art can be a tool for that change and all that stuff. Yeah.
Thank you, Lily. And I think you are one of the biggest examples as well, because when you shared the pictures and the videos from your personal exhibition, I remember through the phone, I got chills. I had chills because I felt like I was in that place. So I can't even imagine people that actually came to the exhibition and actually saw it and got to meet the person and talk with the artist. I think it gives you more of a perspective as much as we always try to see life only with our own eyes and our own perspective. Having different perspective help us redefine our life, I think, and redefine how we should advance in life together. And thank you so much for sharing this, and thank you for being you, and thank you for creating those spaces, because you're creating space just not just for you but for so many people. And I think that each of you on this panel, in a way, you are creating spaces not just for you but for others as well, and this is something that holds a lot of power. We I talked about community last week for a talk, and I think we often do not realize how much community actually is big, and how it actually brings us way higher in life. And I think when one of us is winning, all of us is winning. And I like how when you were talking, Lily, you were talking about others, but we could see in your eyes and in the way you were talking about them, it was as if you were winning. And I like that. Thank you so much to share that with us. And so I will now turn to you, Kelly. Why do you believe art? Like I think we've been through that through this discussion, like how it's such a deep connection to mental and emotional well-being. So why do you believe art has this hold on us?
Yes, thank you, Anne-Gaëlle, for this question. I would like to thank Lily for her words, which are very inspiring, because in Mauritius, we are still striving for inclusive education at some levels. So talking about disabilities in this way makes me feel like Liliane is a living proof of resilience, and there's hope for the future. So to return to your question, I would say that art speaks when we can't. And I mean, even if you're lost in a song, I don't know if this happened to you. You're in the bus and you're returning home after a long day of work, and you're listening to a song and you feel that this song knows your soul actually. And you stare at a painting and you feel that you're understood. And science proves it. Creating and experiencing art lowers stress, releases dopamine, and makes us feel alive. And this is what we need in this world. We need to feel that we're alive, not just living. And we need a society that values art, as art values people well-being. And art gives us this permission to feel. Just to relate to a storytelling piece which we did with an artist from Mauritius called she's Véronique Nankou. She's a storyteller, and we had this storytelling piece at a very corporate conference by the UNESCO at the University of Mauritius for the abolition of slavery commemoration. There were people from different parts of the world who talked about the root of slaves. And our storytelling piece actually narrated slavery from the point of view of women. And at the end of our presentation, of our artistic presentation, there's a woman from the audience who came to me and said that, you just narrated my story. It's my sister's story and I, because in the storytelling piece, what we wanted to show is that slavery is still here for women in a form or other. We had this story about a little girl who was rejected by her mother because her skin was not as light as she would have dreamed about. And she got married at 13 and she said nothing and she lived that life. She had to abandon all her dreams. And this is the stories of so many women in Mauritius, but abroad also, because as women, maybe we don't know, we are not conscious about it, but we have so many wounds that are generational and that we didn't even thought about maybe. But through art, maybe this can pop up and we just realize that, yes, I can relate to this. I don't know how or when, but I can relate to this because, you know, my ancestors are always with me and they watch me as I grow and just trying to carve my way out of this life. And so why should we just, you know, try to stop people from feeling or make them feel weak because they feel? We talk about physical health, but I think mental health is even more important because it cannot be seen. And feeling is so much for some people that actually I am one of those people who believe that, you know, people can die out of sadness because your emotions form part of you and you cannot ignore it. So the connection between mental and emotional well-being, if it didn't make sense, the word wouldn't make the terms wouldn't even make sense if art there. So is the world investing enough in mental health? So this is where I think art can step in, even in education. So let us just give art, let us feel and live, feel alive, and just experience this life with all that we need and that we do not know that we need. So that's it.
Thank you so much, Kelly. You made me emotional right there. I think it's something very powerful because it's true that we are often tagged as being too much if we are too emotional sometimes. And I think that's very bad because even sometimes we would tell little boys not to cry because you're a boy, right? You should not be crying. Or girls are known to be emotional, so yeah, you are just being too emotional. Or sometimes put it on the account of, oh, is it the period of the month? No, it's not always about this. And I think emotions are valid, and we do. There is. I like that you had this storytelling piece around the point of view of women based on slavery, and I would actually love to hear about it. So I don't know if it was recorded or if there is any way I can I can hear it because I think I'm pretty sure it was very powerful. And there is this saying that we are our ancestors' wildest dreams, and I believe that we are. And I believe that our ancestors would be proud of us if they knew that we actually took in our emotion and felt it when needed and felt it completely and really sat with it. And I've heard a lot of people saying that, did you ever just take a time and sit with that emotion? Because it really does feel different when you actually acknowledge it and make it go through your body and actually feel it properly, um instead of people just telling you, why are you feeling like this, you should not be feeling like this. No, if you feel sad, just feel sad. If you feel happy, just feel happy. I mean, we should just be allowed to feel our emotions the way we are supposed to feel it. And I'm happy that art has been a way for you to find it, but also a way for you to pass it on to people around you, because you talked about your students, you talk about how you did it for a presentation to others with a storytelling piece. And I'm very glad that we get to have this type of conversation where we get to put those words out there and tell people that it's okay, you're not too much. If you want to cry right now, just cry. If you want to laugh out loud and be very happy, just be happy, and just live through the different emotions. Thank you so much, Kelly. And I think since you were talking about this different type of perspective, this women perspective, I want to know, maybe because women artists have historically, like I think it was Simone who was saying that it's still male dominated. And it's funny, before I come to that point, it's funny because last week I was on a panel, and one person on the panel actually said, I wish there was a field that was not male dominated. And that actually sinked in. And I was like, wait a second. That's actually because we always try to put it out there like this is a male-dominated field. This is a male-dominated field. Like, but do we have a female-dominated field? I've never heard of it. So if anyone has the answer to that, do tell me. But I actually would say that women artists have historically faced barriers in visibility, in funding or recognition. So what strategies do you guys as artists have used maybe to overcome these challenges? And what advice maybe would you offer to emerging women artists today? Who wants to go first?
I think I can start,
Yeah, go
then we
ahead.
can interlude together because I'm sure. I think one of the most important things is to build a community, because it can be pretty isolating, and we have to think about and be real about the context in which we are. I don't know about you guys, but I live on a small island in an archipelago nation, 500,000 people. So it's very important for me to have my community of crazy-minded people, be it artists, scientists, but people who I can be myself without being judged. And all that same vein, be yourself, unapologetically yourself, as long as it's safe, because we know what times we live in. But be yourself and make art that is true to yourself. Make art that you will feel no shame after you die. Like, because I know it's hard because we have to survive. And sometimes we want to make what appeal to the masses, what is pretty, what might be sold. But if you have your voice, you will find people who connect to your voice. So be yourself, be true to yourself. Of course, you have to think about surviving, living. But first and foremost, make sure that whatever you put out there is something that you are proud of. Yeah.
Thank you, Simone. Yeah, I'm very happy that you're yourself because I got to see who you are, and the world get to see who you are. So thank you for being yourself, and I think it's a very powerful message. Just be yourself. Okay, Lily?
Personally, like a summary, personally for me, I think now I look back, for me to be an artist, it was literally a necessity. Like I didn't have any other choice than to just be an artist. I tried a lot of things, but just always comes up for me to be just being an artist. And because of that necessity, it created opportunities because I was forced to adapt, I was forced to be innovative, I was forced to think outside my box. And through that thinking, I'm now, I'd say I do interdisciplinary, it's like I apply an interdisciplinary approach. I just don't do just art, but there is an activism part to it. And one ways I did is like leveraging grants and fellowships and just anything. My first workshop where I got to see paints was back in 2020. I just applied for this thing where it's just women in art. And I just went, and through that, coming to meet different women who were doing art, getting to learn from them, that is where I learned, oh, I could use acrylic paints into my artwork and move from there. So one thing I would also say to women out there is and I also look back to me, is just use what you have. And you do not need to have perfect conditions for you to start. Just create with whatever resources are available to you and add layers of meaning to your work. So yeah.
Thank you, Lily. And I think I will repeat what Kelly said at the beginning. Really, you are the proof, a living proof of resilience, and that's very true. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. Done is better than perfect. Yeah, exactly, Simone. Thank you so much. Kelly?
Just to add on what those amazing women said, I would say that you should own your story. History tried to write women out, but we wrote ourselves back in. And I have personally faced doors that wouldn't open, but I tried to build my own doors and just don't wait for people to accept me as I am. I believe that Simone said something very important, which is one of the values that I live by, to be very sincere and honest. I mean, if you're sincere and honest, people can feel it. I take the examples of students. They can feel when someone is made for teaching. They can feel when you're sincere, and they can feel when you care for them. And this goes in the same way for artists. When you're sincere and honest with what you do, what you write, what you say, what you paint, people can feel it. It goes to them. It connects to them. So I would say that one of the biggest tools would be, as you say, to have a community, but not just to have a community of women just because they're women, but to have a community of women who really strive for other women, and to be surrounded by people who uplift you, who amplify all that you mean actually, and to open doors for each other. And I will also say that art isn't just passion, it's a revolution that we do at our own pace, at our own stage. So keep creating, keep pushing, because the world needs you. I believe that every artist has something in him or her that the world needs. And if it's not us, then who? Yes, that's all.
Thank you so much, Kelly. Okay, I guess if now I need any quotes, I can go to Kelly because she's creating quotes after quotes. It's so powerful. I like the one you said at the beginning when you said history tried to write us out, but we wrote ourselves back in. Wow. Powerful. I'm gonna definitely use this one back again. Um, thank you. So these are amazing advices. So be yourself, or be resilient and start where you are, and just be honest and be sincere in what you want to do and what you want to say. And thank you so much for all of you for all these amazing answers and all of this amazing sharing of experience. I can't even believe that that was the last question from me. That was so quick. This was amazing. I actually want to open the floor now to people in the audience if they have any questions. I do see in the chat that Tanda said, "Thank you for this conversation. I have started to explore an art project with my young brother while photography. So it will be a photo book telling stories of the plight of a rural, poor, displaced communities and women's land rights in Zimbabwe. I believe art is a powerful language that everyone can understand." Thank you so much, Tando. And I don't know if any of the panelists want to bounce on what he said about, because it's about land rights and women. So we do believe that it's a powerful medium to use. I don't know if anyone wants to bounce on that. Nope. Okay. So we also have a comment by Veronique Kuti who said, "Thank you to all of you wonderful panelists. I am so grateful for everything you have shared. How can we better support artists in our community from each of your perspective? And what are some form of support that you are still looking for?" So I guess that the question is to all of you. So who wants to start?
I would, sorry, I would like to comment on Tando's message
Yeah.
first, and then I can pitch in on answering Veronique's question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sando, thank you. That's a very, very nice work. Photography is a very powerful medium as well. They say an image, okay, the English, I don't know, in Portuguese is an image value is worth 1,000 words. So thank you for your work. And I believe that is like you said, is a language that everybody can understand. And I'm pretty sure will be very valuable in what you want to achieve. And thank you for choosing art as a way of talking about it. And about support, it's the thing that they always say, buy art from living artists. Yeah, that's how we live. It's through the exchange, the economic exchange. So that is one way. If you cannot, you can direct the artist to people who can. If you don't know anyone, you can always share, like the art. You can pay attention to opportunities and share with your friend artists, because living off art for some is a dream. It's a dream. Like, I think myself, I have other forms of income, because it would be at this exact moment, the money that I make of art is not enough to survive. So if we can support our artists financially, so we can have the freedom, the time to create even more art, that is perfect. But if you cannot, you can do the next best thing, that is to support emotionally, be a good friend to your friends, artists, show up when they have an exhibition or a concert, bring your friends, connect them with opportunities. When they want to vent, be an uplifting friend. Don't be the friend that will say, why are you still doing that? That is not a good friend. Okay. So yeah, do the good things.
Thank you, Simone. So yeah, so to sum it up, what you said is be more supportive as a person, so being supporting of your friend, but also being supportive by either helping by buying art from artists, or directing people towards the artist, so that the artist can one day fulfill their dream of living from their art. Great. Who wants to go next? If you need me to say the question again, I can, or maybe Kelly.
I
Okay,
go
Lily.
next.
Yeah.
So there's actually a funny joke, or like a funny meme. If you have an artist friend, hug them, they're struggling.
Okay.
So yeah, like Simon said, as being an artist requires a lot. I'm currently doing curatorial and arts management classes in an academy, and I just came to realize that, especially, let's say, I would say in Tanzania, we lack curators and arts management, art managers and artist management. So you find that an artist is struggling for themselves instead of having curators who create, or creators or arts managers who create opportunities for artists. It is something, especially in the art industry, we need to look at. And another thing, personally, how I do it, it's not how I do it, I'm also trying, is put yourself out there. I mean, if there's a call, just apply it. Send your artworks. Just, I would say, encourage them to put themselves out there. At the start of my career, I met, when I was in university, I was actually forced to go to an art exhibition of this lady. Her name is Sungi Mlengea. She's currently a big artist, and she has an exhibition in New York. And one thing she told me is that Do not hold your art in. Just create and show it. Just show it, just show it, just show it. So I would say that is one thing we can encourage artists to continue doing. Do not just do it and hug it, but then show it.
Okay. So basically showing our support plus plus. So once you've supported, you make sure that they get out there. So they push them to be out there and be the best version of themselves. Okay. Thank you so much, Lily. Kelly?
Um, I would suggest that we start realizing that people who do not practice any form of arts but who appreciate art are also part of the artistic community. I once heard Gaston Valeyden, who is a very famous playwright in Mauritius, who said that he wanted his son to do drama, to do plays, to participate in plays. But his son told him that if I play if I play, then who will come to the theaters to watch? So those people who appreciate art are also part of the artistic community. And we have the responsibility as artists to not only thank them, but make them feel valued, because without them, we wouldn't exist. And the support should also suggest that in Mauritius, for example, I think we lack qualified people from some ministry. For example, if you become an arts officer, it's not just because you have an MBA. Qualifications is not only about, paper in the arts field. It's about having a knowledge, actually, because you may have theory, but the practice, even if you're not practicing any art, but you support some form of arts, you're culturally awakened. And this is very important for artists to be understood, for artists needs to be catered, and for us to be respected. Because what we do is not just a waste of time or a hobby. Art is life and life is art. So that's it.
Thank you, Kelly. Again, she comes on with another quote. So no doubt, guys, because she has so many quotes. But yeah, I think it's very valid point. Like you said, I think it's creating spaces where artists are actually feeling like they are being heard, because the person who is actually listening is someone that knows what it feels like and what it means to be an artist. And that's very powerful and very true. And I think this can be applied to all the fields. Like if you are in a field that you have the experience in it, but just because you don't have the paper that proves that you have the experience, then you're diminished, or people not just take you for granted. Then I think it's not a space that you want to be in. And it's the same, I think, for art. I think it's the same for a lot of spaces. So yeah, I think I don't know if they answered your question, but I think they did. They did very well actually answering those questions. I was still thinking about how can I support my artist friends. Well, today I know, so I will try to be a better support system to all of you. Um, to the best of my capabilities at least. But yeah, thank you so much for sharing all of this. I don't know if there is any last words from the audience or from the panelists before we wrap up this call.
Shauna, we have an artist among us, SBSB, Shauna Barbosa. She's a published author, very, very amazing poet. She is the poet that made me fall in love with poetry. I think if she's able, she should show up, please, because she is phenomenal. She's a phenomenal poet and storyteller.
Thank you, Simone. I guess you are showcasing us exactly how we're supposed to support our artist friends. Put them out there and tell the world how amazing they are. So thank you, SBSB. I don't know your name, to be here.
Of course, thank you guys. This has been super informative and very beautiful to witness and listen to. And thank you, Simone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so Shona Barbosa, thank you so much for accepting to be with us and taking the time to be part of this space. I hope that all of you were happy with this conversation. At least I was very happy. I don't know if our panelists have any last words. So Simone, you told us what words you wanted to shout out to show us exactly how we're supposed to do it. Kelly or Lily, I don't know if you have any last words before we close the call.
I would like to thank you for bringing us women from different parts of the world together, because somewhere and somehow we're all related by history, by blood, by art. So thank you, Anne-Gaëlle, for doing all these amazing things. You're someone amazing, and we're really grateful to have you for connecting us tonight.
Thank you so much, Kelly. I mean, I just brought you together, but you guys were already shining on your own, so you're just shining together now. So thank you for accepting this. I know it can be a challenge to some people, so I'm very happy that you accepted to be on this panel with us. And I'm very proud to be part of this community of women who are powerful, resilient, themselves to 100% and showing up. So thank you. Lily, any last words?
I'm not so much further from Kelly. I'm really excited to be here. I am honored to be among you. And also thank you, Anka, for bringing us all here. Peace.
Thank you.
Peace out.
Thank you so much, Lily. So I think you wanted to do the Louisiana sign because that's where we met, but that's fine. Thank you so much for your honesty. Thank you so much for being who you are. Each one of you, as I've said, and I will say it again, you were shining already, and bringing you together here is just shining so much light. Like basically, you cannot see right now because it's too much light. I mean, no, not too much, so much light, and it's amazing to see. And I'm very happy again to say that each one of you, I got to meet each one of you, and I'm very honored to have each one of you as part of my life and my community. I will still be supporting each one of you in one way or the other, and I know that in the future you will go up and shine even more. So thank you for this, each one of you. And thank you for the audience as well, for people who are here and who showed how you can support your friends by being on a call and showing us that we have that support system. Thank you also to people who will rewatch that video later on YouTube for your support. And thank you for being part of the AfriTech Fellowship community, but the AfriTech Connect community as well. You're now part of the AfriTech family, so I'm very happy to have you as part of this family. And for those of you who have not seen all the other episodes before, I will invite you to go and look at them on our YouTube channel. If there is any other episode that you would like to see in the future, do not hesitate to let us know what topic or reach out to us. But also stay tuned with us on our social media channels to be able to follow our adventures. And with that, I will say goodbye to you all. Thank you so much. And I hope that this conversation was good to you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.